don't need the headphones this time. Alright, just got finished watching episode 12, or I think 11 of Ultimate Fighter 6. We had Ben Saunders vs. Tommy Speer this time around. But before, let's get to the action before the fight. Let's see here. We had the recap of the fight as usual. Not so much detail put into this one, probably because they had to recap 2 fights and they showed clips from both of them. So, simply put, what I said last week about him pretty much holds true. 2 submission wins to just basically the better grappler winning. Okay, and then we had 3 of Team Sarah's guys not going to practice. They were John War Machine Koppenheimer, Troy Rude Boy Mandalones, pardon me, and we had Richie Hightower. They got really drunk. They trashed the place. It's things like this that the Ultimate Fighter isn't so good for, because it's a bad reputation of the sport. I mean, we already have, still in a lot of circles, a very street fight mentality about the UFC and mixed martial arts. A lot of it's a bar fight with some rules type thing. It's a cage fight, you know, all these things that are associated poorly with the sport, and guys like this don't really help us when it comes to proving them wrong. Because I mean, we got 3 guys getting drunk, breaking stuff and putting stuff on a wall and acting like, I believe Mac Danzig might have put it best, 14-year-olds who got into their parents' stash and got drunk for the first time. As much as I don't like certain members of Team Hughes, there's none of them I can't stand, and these 3, I honestly can't really stand them off of Team Sarah. Team Sarah has some legitimately good guys like John Colossi and Matt Arroyo and Ben Saunders and even George Soteropoulos, but certainly with those 3, it's not good. It's a bad reflection. But nothing I can do to change it. I don't know if even if we didn't have them, I don't know if it even adds to the perception. I think it just reinstates the perception that UFC is for hooligans and misfits, and I don't like it. But moving on. Mac Danzig doesn't like it either. I mean, he almost goes at Richie Hightower. This is also bad because Mac's nerves are a little fried from the house, and he's being egged on by Richie Hightower, and there's no way around it. Richie is egging him on, but instead of ignoring him and going into another room and doing something, you know, productive, or releasing his rage somehow, however Mac Danzig does it, that doesn't involve fighting, he goes after Richie, and Dorian Price and John Koppenheimer have to kind of separate the 2. Not that no blows were exchanged, nothing really happened. It was more of an anonymous approaching him, sort of evilly, I guess. So what can I say? It was stupid, and you gotta live with it. Moving on, they get even more bored, and they decide, I believe it's Koppenheimer and Mandalones, decide to go into Team Hughes' bathroom, because apparently Team Hughes has its own bathroom, and take a shit in the tank part of the toilet. It's called a double-decker or an upper-decker. I've heard it called both. It's stupid. I don't think I've seen anyone I hung around with since the age of like 15 pull one of those. That's pretty bad for grown men and professional athletes, I must say. Billy Miles goes in, flushes the toilet. Shit comes down the sides, of course. He goes and tells his team. He's pretty cool about it. He's telling Danzig, I don't have to tell you if I'm gonna have to run the door and restrain you and keep you from kicking someone's ass. And Danzig takes it pretty well. I mean, he just goes off and does some breathing exercises. The team generally takes it pretty well. I mean, Paul Georgiev is having a good laugh at it with Billy Miles, and Tommy Speer doesn't say anything. I'm not surprised by that. Do we ever see Tommy talk when it doesn't involve one of his fights? I can't remember a time. J-Rock goes off the freaking handle, though, and takes the top of the tank and throws it, smashes it, kicks the door in and yells at them, you know, who did it? Koppenheimer gets a little bit in his face. He knocks Koppenheimer's hat off. Koppenheimer does actually the smart thing. Instead of punching him, he just takes him like kind of in a body lock and throws him into, it looks like there's a bed in there. I could be wrong. The rest of the Hughes guys rush in along with Hightower's in there. Don't know about Rude Boy, but Hightower appears is in there. Mac is throwing some words at Hightower that you did. Hightower really seems offended by that, and I don't know why, because honestly, something like that happened. The first guy I'd think of is probably Richie Hightower. He seems to be one of the least mature in the house, although Rude Boy seems to be more of a prankster, as does Koppenheimer, so whatever. They get this cooled down finally. No punches are thrown. Good. It's not really a fight so much as a... Neither guy terribly aggressive. I mean, J-Rock knocked his hat off. Koppenheimer did the right thing by taking him down because, like he said, I mean, it looked like J-Rock was going to, you know, unload in his face. So, better safe than sorry. Moving on, we talk a little bit about Tommy Speer's cut, how it could be a career ender. I'm going to actually detail that a little bit. It's not so much the cut ends his career, it's that every time you fight, if you have a really good cut, like my brother has one right about here, and you get hit there, it gets busted open every time. It just gets in the way a lot. So it can be a career ender in the fact that you're going to lose by cut a fair bit, and that's not good. Anyways, we go to the fight. Ben Saunders, though, comes down a bit ill before the fight, which is not good. Fighting sick is possibly the worst thing, because fighting with an injury, assuming you can fight with not like a torn ACL or something, but something minor, isn't as bad as the flu, or it looked like he might have had, well, he had something, I don't know what it was, but being sick, because it affects your breathing and thus affects every aspect of your fight, your striking, your grappling, your ability to push the pace, your ability to stop a takedown, your ability to get a takedown. It's all not good. Early on, Tommy Speer comes out. He's losing the striking exchanges, gets in the clinch. Ben Saunders lands a couple good knees. Tommy lands a couple good knees too. Tommy takes him down. Instantly loses position though into the full guard. Ben Saunders locks on a triangle choke, rotates to an armbar. He has that armbar pretty damn well extended. He's actually landing more shots from the bottom. At this point, this kind of looked like what I was kind of thinking, and might have happened during the whole fight if Ben hadn't gassed, and I'll get to that later. But he goes back to the triangle, almost gets a tap out. Tommy remains on top the rest of the fight, or the rest of the round. Doesn't really do that much, I gotta say. Not a lot. I thought that should have been stood up a couple times, and I'm a proponent of the ground game, and I'm saying it should have been stood up. That's kind of bad. The second round, much the same. Tommy takes down Ben. There was a nice flying knee by Ben. Ben doesn't do as much this round from the bottom. He gets outstruck. He doesn't really have any good submission attempts. Tommy, though, again, a decent amount of ground and pound, but again, kind of losing position a lot. Just taking him down. Basically, it ends up with an unanimous decision for Tommy. I'm a little surprised by that, because I personally thought Ben Saunders won the first round. I think you got to get points for a good submission attempt like those, like particularly the triangle, the armbar. He outstruck him the first half of the round, even off his back. I mean, personally, I just thought that was Ben's round. Tommy definitely wins the second round, and I would have gone for a third. I don't think you heard many complaints from Sarah's team, because I think it's obvious that Ben Saunders was pretty gassed, and Ben would not have fared well in a third round and would have lost anyway. So I suppose it doesn't matter in the long run. Nonetheless, it's a bit of a peeve. Like I said, being sick heading into a fight, it's miserable. It's really going to affect your performance for the worse. I think we can see bigger things from Ben Saunders. As far as Tommy Speer goes, this kid is not overly talented right now. He has a great deal of potential because he is great. He's massively physically strong, not afraid to get hit. It seems like he won't tap for anything. I mean, that's some ingredients for a good fighter. He's a good wrestler, but right now he's just not at that level. His striking, there's some decent fundamentals there. He's not terrible on the feet. He's not the worst guy on the feet that this show has had. Certainly. I'm not sure about this season, but certainly overall, he's definitely not the worst striker. His ground game needs work. I mean, he had side control. He had not side control, but half guard a couple times, then just pop right back in a full. That's not good grappling technique. So what can I say about that? All right, I'm gonna have to continue this on a second video.